Come on. Good morning, beloveds. As usual, I'm being distracted by a cat. It's Foster, though, so he probably won't make an appearance, but you never know. Um, uh, it's February 9th. It's really foggy out there. It's also muggy and damp and warm. I say that. It's 60 degrees out there. But when you're running, that's warm. Um, and I just watched the most incredible thing on one of the morning news shows where they had a man who went into the hospital for COVID, and he spent 4 weeks intubated, and he told the story of the nurse who just lit up when he regained consciousness, when he woke up, and said, "Do you know who you are?" And he apparently has written a letter to everyone, every doctor, every nurse, the janitors that took care of him for the 4 weeks that he was intubated. And it was just heartfelt and wonderful, and a lesson in gratitude. And what was really cool about it was, of course, it being a morning news show, they had them all. So he's telling the story, and after he reads his letter that he wrote to everybody, they all popped on. So he got to see them and talk to them, and it was heartwarming and beautiful, and that's the kind of thing we need right now. So, yeah, stories like that. And that's what he said, is he wanted, he wanted to teach his son about that kind of gratitude. So, it is February 9th. I don't know what day of the week it is, so I think it's Tuesday. We're gonna let that go, but it is February 9th, and our title is I Give Form to the Invisible. Good morning, Susan. I give form to the invisible. Let your light so shine before men that they shall see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. And that is from Matthew 5:16. All right. Life at the center of your being is a silent power. Physical facts, form, and conditions are no obstruction to this power. It flows through them and takes a new form in them. It remolds them. That which can remake, that which molds can remold, that which creates can recreate. Remember, what you see comes from what you do not see. The visible is the invisible made manifest. It is the invisible caught in temporary form. Every time you think, you are giving form to this invisible power. The question arises whether any limit can be placed upon the possibility of the conscious use of spiritual power. Theoretically, it would seem impossible to place such a limit. The only limitation would be that which proceeds from lack of belief or understanding. The Spirit itself must be ever present with us. If we could strip our mind of fear, superstition, and all sense of separation from this divine presence, approaching it quite simply and directly, we would probably be surprised at the results that would follow. In using spiritual law, the one having the greatest faith obtains the best results. I am surrounded by a spiritual presence that responds to my word. Today, I take charge of my thinking, knowing that the divine appears to each only as a measure of his imagination. I enlarge the concept, I present to it for fulfillment. I enlarge the concept, I present to it for fulfillment. I wait calmly and expectantly for new and greater experiences to come to me. Okay, there's a whole lot in here. Starting with he's backing up on the pray without ceasing thing. And so one of the conversations that we frequently have is every thought creative? Yes, to a point. But for the thought to be more creative, that's where we talk about thoughts wrapped in feelings. So the more feeling energy you have behind a thought, the more creative the thought is going to be. And the caveat to that is that it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative feeling behind it, which is one of the reasons why you want to check your feelings, because negative thoughts with negative feelings can be just as creative as positive thoughts with positive feelings. So that is a thought, and I just got a text message that popped in that now I have a project to work on. So, well, yeah. All right. That's what that sound was. I forget to turn my text message off. Okay. So, our title is I Give Form to the Invisible. I think the Bible quote's one that we all know. Let your light so shine before men that they shall see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. All right. Life at the center of your being is a silent power. I don't know that I agree with that, about it being a silent power. I think I agree with a silent partner. I'm not sure I agree with the silent power, because I think it quite literally can sing to us if we're willing to listen. Physical facts, forms, and conditions are no obstruction to this power. That's true. That is very true. It flows through them and makes a new form in them. It remolds them. That which makes can remake. That which molds can remold. That which creates can recreate. Any artist will tell you that. Absolutely, any artist will tell you that in any medium. When I first went into graduate school in archaeology, one of my the project that I was working on was broken pieces of pottery. Doesn't sound exciting, but basically what we noticed is that they would take broken pieces of pottery and they would remake them. They would turn them into tools, and they would turn them into game pieces, and they would turn them into jewelry, and they would turn, so, any artist will tell you that what has been made can be remade, it can be remolded. You could probably talk to Maggie about making pottery. It's like, if you make a pot and you don't like the pot, then you collapse the pot and you redo the pot. So that is the power of creation. And even once you fired the pot, which was my project, you can still take the pot and turn it into other things. You can remold it, remake it, recreate it. There's a Japanese, and the name just popped right out of my head. But basically, when they get cracks in their pot, they fill them with gold. It's a beautiful idea. So then you end up with this, cracked, crazy looking, very useful pot that is a beautiful work of art, because they value the story that the pot has to tell by filling the cracks with gold. So remember, what you see comes from what you do not see. The visible is the invisible made manifest. The idea. Everything around us is an idea. And it all comes from one source. It is the invisible caught in temporary form. And I absolutely love that. It is the invisible with a capital I caught in temporary form. Just think about that for a minute. Everything around us is an idea temporarily in form. We are temporarily in form. We came, we are here, and eventually we will move on. And everything around us does that. So we are all the invisible caught in temporary form. Every time you think you are giving form to this invisible power, the question arises whether any limit can be placed upon the possibility of the conscious use of spiritual power. And this is where we have the conversation about we get in our own way. We put the limits on it. The invisible power has no limits. So we put the limits on it. And we do it both intentionally and unintentionally. Because sometimes we only want to go so far. This is what we want to create. So we put those limits. We put those parameters. This is what we want to create. And sometimes we unintentionally put those limits on it by thinking that we can only go so far. This is as much as we can have. Theoretically, it would seem impossible to place such a limit, theoretically. The only limitation would be that which proceeds from the lack of belief or understanding. Lack of belief. Or simply not understanding what we are doing. And fear. It's like, that's, you see the meme frequently. We're not afraid of how little power we have. We're afraid of how much power we actually do have. If you only knew the power you truly had. The Spirit itself must be ever present with us. If we could strip our minds of fear, superstition, and all sense of separation from this divine presence, which is something Ernest talks a lot about, because fear is one of the things that definitely gets in our way. And separation, the sense of separation, because the separation is an illusion. Approaching it, capital I, quite simply and directly, we would probably be surprised at the results that would follow. So going back to one of the things that Jesus said of approaching, be as little children. Be as little children. Approach it simply and directly. When a child wants something and they come and they ask for it, they're pretty simple and pretty direct. This is what I want. They don't make up reasons why they should have it. They don't, that whole argument just popped right out of my head. You know, they don't try and make themselves worthy of what they want. At least early on. The older we get. So that's that be as little children. Approach it simply and directly. What is it that you want? And don't try and argue why you should have it. Because you don't have to do that. There's no reason to argue that you should have it. You are a child of God, and God wants you to have that which is within its own nature, which is creative and healthy and whole and happy. And so don't try and make yourself worthy. You already are. Be as little children. Ask simply and directly. And maybe you don't even have to ask. Simply state. And then believe. That's another one that Jesus says. Ask and believe that you already have it. Although I don't think I got that one. I think there's more to that quote than I just said. So please feel free to look it up so that you can have that whole phrase. I am not the Bible scholar that Reverend Arthur is, but Reverend Arthur will be on our stage at the end of the month. So please check that one out. In using spiritual law, the one having the greatest faith obtains the best results. And what is faith? Trust plus imagination. Trust plus imagination. So imagine it and then trust that it will be so. I am surrounded by a spiritual presence that responds to my word. Power statement. I am surrounded by a spiritual presence that responds to my word. Today I take charge of my thinking, knowing that the divine appears to each only as a measure of his own imagination. I enlarge the concept I present to it for fulfillment. Let me read that again. I enlarge the concept I present to it for fulfillment. Don't play small. Don't play small. Again, you are worthy. You are a beloved child of God. Enlarge your concepts. I wait calmly and expectantly for new and greater experiences to come to me. And occasionally I get to go and get those experiences because the divine has kicked me out of my nest and said, go and do. And I hope that most of the time I listen. So, I think our mission today is exactly that. To enlarge the concepts that we present to this invisible, to this divine, to this presence, this wisdom, this power. We enlarge our concepts. Try it. You might like it. We make Mikey jokes in the house a lot, so try it. You might like it. So that is today. That is February 9th. As always, I'm going to encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself. I encourage it every day because the more you practice on yourself, the more you will have available for other people. Practice starts at home. Practice starts with yourself. I would also encourage you to do something to engage your mind and your body. As always, it's a great way to get that. You give the body something to do, and it gives the mind time to rest and to think. And sorry, that was a cat. Rita just sauntered in and sauntered back out. Now she's sitting just out of my sight in the hallway. I can see her back. But I know here we have maybe one more day. I know it's foggy right now, but we have one more day where it's going to be in the mid-70s. So today might be a good day to open your windows, get some fresh air, allow that fresh air to give you some fresh perspective. We may or may not get any sun. I do encourage you to get a little sunlight on your face. A few minutes in the morning, 5-10 minutes in the morning, it really can help to reset your day. And more importantly, it just feels good. It just feels good. And it's a little thing that we can do for ourselves. And then, winter will reassert itself for a brief minute. Yes, so do what you need to do to make it a wonderful day. But please, open the windows of your soul. Allow that breath of heaven to remind you that you do live in heaven now. Heaven is all around you, and you are a beloved child of God in whom Spirit is well pleased. Always and forever. There is no time limit on that. Okay, beloveds, I'm going to move into the process of my day. I'm going to encourage you to do what you need to do to make it a wonderful day, and remind you it's Tuesday. Reverend David will be on with you around 5 p.m. I'll be back with you at 9 a.m. tomorrow. All right, beloveds. Have a wonderful day.